Hello and welcome to the Wire Wrap. I'm Sravasti Dasgupta. After some days of protests, the Supreme Court today has stayed the new UGC regulations which were against caste-based discrimination in Indian campuses. In the meantime, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has once again stoked controversy with his comments that 4 to 5 lakh Miya voters will be deleted when the special intensive revision takes place in Assam. In the meanwhile, in Tamil Nadu, Vijay's Nayagan has been deleted once again by the Madras High Court, and the movie, which is supposed to be his swan song before his full-fledged political entry, is once again facing a delay. To discuss all this, I'm being joined by Sobhana Nair. She's deputy editor at the Hindu and Saba Naqvi. She's a senior journalist. Thank you so much to the two of you for joining us. Let's get started with the Supreme Court's directions that have come just moments from now. Just to tell our viewers that there was sustained protest by upper-caste groups against the UGC's new regulations, which were against caste-based discrimination across campuses. And these protests were seen in Uttar Pradesh as well as in Delhi in front of the UGC's headquarters over here. And we saw a number of BJP leaders and office bearers also resigning in protest. The Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan did give a statement and say that this is not going to be misused, but that did not really assuage the people. And today the Supreme Court has said that this is prone to misuse and it's too vague and has stayed the guidelines for now. Shobna, how do you see this development in the Supreme Court?
I mean, it was, I guess, expected how for BJP, the Brahmin voters form the very core of their vote base. Of course, in Uttar Pradesh, they had systematically reached out to the OBC and Dalit voters and to create this consolidated Hindu under the consolidated Hindutva umbrella, but you cannot do without Brahmin who are your foundational voters, so to speak. So it was, I guess, expected for the for sort of, if not the Supreme Court, I believe the government only would have had to step in and bring in some sort of a change. For the government, it is a good thing that they are not being seen as the ones bringing in the change, because that would have risked alienating the OBC and SC/ST groups. So here, government has had actually the best of the both worlds, wherein they have they brought the regulation, but Supreme Court has stepped in and has sort of helped calm the tempers.
I want to pick up from what Shobna is saying, that essentially, Sabha, you have covered BJP for many years, so you know kind of how things work. The past few days when protests were going on, and we saw on social media there was a very high-pitched rhetoric from upper-caste groups, and they were speaking vocally against the BJP, which is something that has not been seen in the past decade or so. And this is as Shobna mentioned, the upper-caste groups have been the BJP's core support base. So do you see this still having any impact for the BJP, particularly in UP where elections are next year?
So, this whole issue when we look at UP and Bihar, because that is where the Mandal thing actually played out. I'll just go a little backwards and say, if you look at the result of the Bihar Assembly election, you will find 36 Bhumiyars, 26 Rajputs. The whole caste nature of the assembly has changed from what it used to be. Now Bharatiya Janata Party, from its time when it comes, Narendra Modi is not an upper caste, but Narendra Modi is beyond caste. He's a personality, he's an RSS worker. But you cannot overlook the fact that there are 3 Brahmin chief ministers right now. Maharashtra, the economic richest state, Devendra Fadnavis. Assam, giving us rhetoric day in and out, is Himanta Biswa Sarma. Sarmas are not the traditional, it's Ahoms who are the ruling caste over there. He has more to prove over there. Then you have another Sharma in Rajasthan, and I forget his full name because he's really not important. He was just put there. Bhajan Lal Sharma. 3. You have 2 Thakurs. UP, Adityanath Yogi, and you have Uttarakhand, Mr. Dhami, who is also competing for the Hindutva laboratory. There are a lot of competition going on. So it is fundamentally also a return to the Savarna order. Emotionally, spiritually, the signaling is understood. But the problem is that those who may represent the middle caste sectionally, they are no longer being successful. The rules of the games have changed. They've also been incompetent in many spheres. Let me just say this. Some of the parties, I think they have acted as if they're defunct. Some of the Mandal parties. And the BJP, from the time when they did not have power on their own, they had this social engineering idea. And they deliberately, I still remember at that time, people like Govindacharya and all talking about the need to get the OBCs in. At that time, they very systematically brought in Kalyan Singh, Uma Bharti. They chose OBCs. They also chose Narendra Modi because Shivraj Singh Chauhan is an OBC. These were the people who came up. Gopinath Munde is also not a Savarna. Now that they are comfortably placed, now that there are different rivals to fought, different battles to, you don't have the Mandal people really as a threat to you any longer. And in that case, you can show your true intent. You have a non-Maratha. You have Devendra Fadnavis. That's crucial in the caste understanding of Maharashtra. There was only once before that a Brahmin, I think Manohar Joshi, he had a brief stint over there. It's unusual. So the whole caste, Himanta Sharma is also unusual from the perspectives of Assam. You don't put Brahmins, but they have made those choices because they now feel they have the leeway to do so. It's not, they can do it. They have put Dhami there and Adityanath here. Now, at one time, when Mayawati was powerful, she was picking up all of the Thakurs and throwing them into jail when she was chief minister. So, the BJP is in a different, and besides that, by the way, they have two Adivasis. Just look at their own social planning, Odisha and Chhattisgarh. And then they put an OBC in Madhya Pradesh. That's the social alignment. And they have an OBC in Haryana and MP. So, that's the social caste breakup of the Bharatiya Janata Party's leadership. Brahmins are on top. RS is an entirely Brahminical run. So it's okay. Brahmins numerically don't count very much, but in UP they do. Yeah. In UP they make up 10% of the population. In Uttarakhand they're huge. And Thakurs are also large. Uttarakhand is the largest Brahmin in terms of numbers. And in Uttar Pradesh where there are elections, but it's not just about elections. If this was really something real that the BJP was doing, or there was a demand by the Supreme Court that they need to take certain steps with the UGC, right? So they had to fulfill certain obligations. So they appeared to do that. The upper caste voter, no matter what happens, is not going to leave the BJP. No way. So even if there are eruptions here and eruptions there, they're not going to leave the BJP. So, but they have to, it is the middle caste and the lower caste who can still go this way or that way. So they still have to appear to be just to them, but they don't really. I mean, we are back to the Savarna order, and there is no one on the other side who can say so clearly. That is the situation, because even Congress is not really, even though they say they are for a caste census, the reason why all these Mandal parties erupted is because Congress did not give representation to anyone but Brahmins and Thakurs again in their leadership position. If you look at the history of the chief ministers in the Congress dominant era before Mandal, they were all Brahmins or Thakurs. That is the reason why certain things happened in a way. In Uttar Pradesh I'm talking about. So, but that's now old history. We are moving ahead, and there is no way you can dislodge a Fadnavis right now. He's there. And we've just had, Marathas were the traditional, or you could have a Dalit even in Maharashtra. But you now have a Brahmin there. These are significant social changes that the BJP has brought about.
So just to add and ask you from what Sabha is saying is that she's saying basically that the upper castes are going to remain with the BJP no matter what. So is that one reason why we did not see opposition parties like the Congress explicitly say anything? We saw the NSUI did put out a statement, but apart from that, none of the Congress leaders really came out to say anything. Today, DMK had put out a statement in the morning, but apart from that, stray comments from some opposition leaders, but there was there was silence basically from on these
So it's a
protests.
tricky problem for the Congress also, because in 2024 you have, in the Lok Sabha campaign, you've taken a stance of being this social justice, party of social justice, which is very ironical given Congress's own past. But they have been trying to do so. In Bihar also, we saw just before the election, they released an EBC manifesto. So considering all the noises that they've been making, you cannot be seen, taking side with the Brahmin Akrosh, as we say. Equally, you don't want to take extremely opposite side, because if at all the Brahmins of Uttar Pradesh, if they are looking out away from BJP, then Congress is they are actually more amenable to Congress than say a Sapa or any other party. Now the interesting thing about UP is, of course, we don't know whether this anger is, one, whether it is real, second, whether it will sustain for that long. But in Uttar Pradesh, in 2022 elections, 53 seats, the winning margin was less than 5,000 votes. Out of these 53, 29 had a winning margin of 2,000 less votes. So I agree with Sabha that for the Brahmins or the forward caste to leave BJP will be difficult. But what if they decide to sit at home? What if they decide to sort of spread their discontent among people who they can influence? That could have a ripple effect, and that could sort of hurt BJP, but I still believe that it is long way off.
Yeah.
So of course, the elections are more than a year away, and as Shobna had earlier said, that there's a best case scenario where the Supreme Court has stepped in, and there has been no real need for the BJP to calm any tempers. But just to go back to the Supreme Court's order earlier today, do you see this as any kind of setback? Because we had a comprehensive set of regulations that had come in, and there was some criticism that the definition of discrimination was far wider in the 2012 regulations, which was narrowed down in the 2026 regulations. But now with this upper caste anger, Supreme Court saying that it is vague, can be misconstrued, is this a setback to social justice?
I find this quite fascinating. Of course, it's a setback to the ideas of social justice. I think the data will also show you that complaints by people from the from castes such as scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs, numbers have gone up.
118% according to the
Is
UGC.
it? Okay. So UGC itself is saying the numbers have gone up. So how do you tackle this problem that you give reservation, students come into institutions and then they are treated badly? It's a reflection of social attitudes. Now, when our reservation, and I'm not even saying that, you are basically 50%, which is general category, is for the how many percentage of Indians who are Brahmins and Thakurs and I mean, upper caste numerically are not so large. Tell me, Shobna, what is the number? There's no consolidated number.
I mean,
they're open to compete over there.
We'll hopefully have the numbers when the census
when
finally
the census
happens.
is done. They're open to compete over there. And this whole idea that it's very, very hard. I can just tell you, when I encountered this, when my own daughter was getting into Delhi University some years ago. And we went there, and on the wall of Hindu college it was pasted, she's general category. She had got admission, and there was a 1 percentage point difference with the backward caste category. They pasted it on the wall. And then there was a 3 percentage point, like let's say she had 98% or 97 and somebody with 96 was in the backward and in that subject and 93 was in the... So I didn't find it so shocking. I think you're quite brilliant if you have historically, your parents have cleaned the roads or been labor and you manage 93%. What is the big deal? But yet I find my most liberal friends, when it comes to this issue of reservation, there is a problem there. They perceive it as being the whole system is weighed against them. But you have 50% of seats to, so to 50% seats for a very small portion of India, So
it's a ridiculous debate to even begin with. I mean, as the Hindu story today, that is what I was trying to pullout says that 66% of sanitation workers employed in the central government come from SC, ST, OBC groups. And here you have Brahmins crying oppression, and so the sort of the ridiculousness of this whole protest is also something uh, I guess couldn't have happened in any other time but now.
But now.
Yeah, and before we move on from this, the last question I want to ask you in this regard to this is that you're saying that it could not have happened at any other time but now. Is this then a result of the BJP's politics of attempting to consolidate Hindu groups as one, and the narrowing gap between its upper caste vote base and its Dalit voter base? So a case of basically trying to straddle on two horses at the same time and not being able to do that. Is this a manifestation?
It
of
is
that?
obvious that, it's been about a decade. To 2017 was BJP's first victory in UP, the emphatic victory in UP. So as Sabha just said, that they've been making this effort for a very, very long time, trying to make Hindu a casteless society and to ensure that there are no differences. But identity, as all of us know, is a many layered thing, and obviously these schisms can be ignored for only X amount of time. After a while, these schisms will come, it will be visible, because it's not easy. And we saw this coming. The 2024 results, Lok Sabha results in Uttar Pradesh were actually the first signal that these schisms are out. No matter how much they may try to paper over it, it's just impossible.
So we'll have to see how this pans out. Now, will the upper caste anger be quelled with this Supreme Court order, or is it just a temporary?
Just one very quick point before you shift this subject. The point is the sort of thing that people have said, this courts, even media, us all, and I include myself in it because come from us. We are just too dominated by upper caste. And the courts bureaucracy is a powerful bureaucracy. It's a fact. So not trust the courts to find this, not, it's nice for the BJP. It's a way out, as Shobhana put it very well, I think. They don't have to deal with this themselves. So maybe the whole thing, as Mr. Yogendra Yadav has been saying, the whole thing is a choreographed stunt. He's been suggesting that. I'm beginning to buy that argument.
And meanwhile, all this is happening in Assam, where elections are due this year. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma, who has been known for his shrill communal rhetoric, has now taken it up to another level, and he has said to the media and that 4 to 5 lakh Miya voters will be deleted when the special intensive revision takes place in Assam. Now, while the SIR is taking place in 12 states and union territories, in Assam only a special revision is taking place, which is not an SIR. So what he really means by this, he will know himself. But also what is interesting is that he has in a sense hinted at an economic boycott of Muslims, saying that trouble them as much as possible. If the rickshawala asks you to pay 5 rupees, you pay them 4 rupees. So before every election, communal tempers are charged in Assam. He is saying that Assam is always polarized, so we have to live in this polarized Assam. But this outright polarization, is it really inevitable for Assam's survival, as he claims?
I mean, see, the thing is, what Himanta Biswa Sarma is doing is actually two things. One, at one level, it is a dog whistle. It is a dog whistle. It is a communally charged statement aimed at dividing the society further. That, yes, on the surface of it. But there is another layer to the statement, and that layer is his attempt to bring in the Assamese asserting the parochial identity, Assamese identity. And the whole dialogue here is, it's not just Hindu and Muslim, it is also Assamese versus Bangladeshi. And that is and that is why he is repeating these kind of statements and in a way it is inevitable, because if I was talking to my colleague Sandeep Fukin yesterday, and he launched into a long history of this kind of divisive narrative that Assam has seen over the years. From actually, he traced it back to even 1935 elections, when Muslim League formed a government there and thereon. So again, Himanta Biswa Sarma, question here is, why is he repeating if this kind of a narrative? He was in the last couple of months, especially in and around singer Zubin Garg's death, Himant Biswa Sarma was on a back foot. Because his Himant Biswa Sarma's close aide, brother or some acquaintance, was actually the organizer for the Zubin Garg's concert in Singapore, and fingers were being raised, all sorts of stories were coming out, and there was this natural outpouring of grief, which then got redirected at Himant Biswa Sarma. That time, Congress failed to consolidate on that anger. Rahul Gandhi, I mean, the Assamese Congress wanted Rahul Gandhi to go there at that moment, but he failed to go. Eventually, he did go, I think, a few weeks later, but that was the right moment where he was at his weakest. So, of course, he is trying to come back firmly back on the saddle, and such commentary, I guess, helps him.
And also the fact that this is common parlance now for Himanta Biswa Sarma. He keeps saying it openly, and now that the SIR is underway, these statements have come just days after 6 opposition parties have submitted a memorandum to the state election officer saying that genuine voters are being left out. And we are seeing how the SIR is really playing out in other states, especially in Bengal, 1.5 crore logical discrepancy cases. So for a chief minister to make a statement like this on a process which the election commission is defending in the Supreme Court, what does this really mean?
So first of all, it's also very interesting to note one thing, that Assam has elections. The whole SIR begins with great haste before Bihar. Assam has elections. Assam is a state because of its history where people have papers. They've been preparing them for decades, or they're put into detention centers or whatever. They don't have to show papers in Assam. In the SIR, whatever special revision, they don't have to do that. Why is because to help I think what ended up happening is they had 12 lakh or some 12 something figures of Muslims getting cut, but it was about 7 for Hindus. Something like this happened, which didn't work for them. The data is, I've written it up in one of my columns, the data, but I don't want to say it, but it was something on those lines. Whereas the target was always intended to be the Muslims, but many Hindus were documentless. So, they're not taking any chances over that. Secondly, Himanta is doing, as a congressman who has joined the BJP, the leader of again we have to get back to identities here. The one who preceded him was a tribal figure from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Secondly, Himanta is very shrewd. He was, even for Gaurav Gogoi's father, Tarun Gogoi, he was the fixer person. He knows how to make deals, he runs a TV studio, and he is quite, he opened up the gateways of the Northeast to the Bharatiya Janata Party, deal making, getting this state in, getting all that in. So, plus if you look at the history of the party, is the BJP going to restrain him? Because you had a very famous individual when he was chief minister who used to say, "Hamare paanch, tum 25. Paanch 25." Then you had Yogi Adityanath saying 80% versus 20%. So they all say it in various forms. You have currently got a situation where Uttarakhand has become a laboratory because there is a lot of anti-incumbency against Dhami, the BJP chief minister. So Himanta is just taking it to a higher level. But you are right, it is curious. This statement should come when SIR is being questioned. But has anyone so far gone to the courts? I hope someone will take, or the courts will take cognizance, which I don't think will happen. But I think a Prashant Bhushan or Kapil Sibal or one of those kind of lawyers will go and say, what is this? That is the only way to be heard. And how can a chief minister declare he's going to delete so many names? So he's being, but I think her analysis is right. He's playing on that. It's so blatant in Assam now. There's no dog whistling now. It's open yelling. Dog whistling was when you pretended to be, no, we are actually secular. We just said something about the high birth rate. That hum paash tumhare 25 could be called a dog whistle. But now it's gone, we have gone up to the stage of beyond dog whistle. We openly go with processions in front of mosques. So he's doing that.
There has been some defense saying that he's talking about Bangladeshis and not Assamese Muslims. That's been some of the defense that I've seen. But I mean, he's just said Miya. Now Miya.
What is interesting is that none of the channels and all organize debates on these subjects. They love Hindu-Muslim debates. They love it. But when you cannot do it in a way, because how do you justify this? So they haven't. They were going on as if, yesterday it was all about the theories, little bit that I saw. Maybe I'm wrong, somebody did do it. The theories about Ajit Pawar's plane crash and that sort of stuff, But none of them will do it. But even though they're itching to do Hindu-Muslim, but only if the Muslim can be shown as being unreasonable. What is also important about this, and we must not lose sight of this, and I've written this, is that it's all happening in the context of Bangladesh, right? Bangladesh is having elections. We've had a breakdown of relations with them over cricket. It's not good. It's spilling over. This constant toxicity. How can it not affect you? If your politicians of the ruling party keep on abusing Bangladesh and saying go to Bangladesh, and then when the team says there are concerns for my safety, after India sends back a Bangladesh player from the IPL. If India had not done that, probably Bangladesh would have come and played in that tournament. But once you do something like this in such a sensitive environment, then things do catch fire, which is what seems to be happening right now.
And while this is going on one hand, Himanta Biswa Sarma has also said that he's going to bring out the SIT report against Gaurav Gogoi about his alleged links with Pakistan, him and his wife, and this is going to be presented in the next 2 weeks. So, with both these issues, do you see that the Congress will be playing on the defensive?
See, Congress definitely has it's an uphill task for the Congress. The only caveat, so as I said, around the time of Zubin Garg's death, he was on a back foot. Had they consolidated at that point, they would have been in a far better position now. Second, but they didn't. They failed to consolidate, and the chief minister is firmly back on the saddle. And it seems to be a one-sided election that we might see. The only caveat here, however, is what do voters of Upper Assam think? I think Sabha initially had hinted, Ahom have been the ruling class of Assam and who have ruled the region for 600 years, uninterrupted rule from 12th century onwards. BJP, however, does not have a home face. They have Minister of State Pavitra Margarita, but he doesn't have the same stature as a Gaurav Gogoi. So Gaurav Gogoi is currently one of the tallest Ahom leaders from Assam. So that is one trump card that Congress has. So if they are able to consolidate on that, and if they're able to consolidate Upper Assam, then they do have a hope. And obviously politics is all about possibilities, but as of now, situation is very, very tough for them.
Just one more thing I wanted to add. Somebody was telling me that some of these demolitions, he's ordered en masse demolitions over so-called Muslim homes. It's not just about malice towards Muslim, it's also about changing the demographies of specific constituencies to push them into areas which in any case is out of the BJP's purview. Somebody was explaining to me that these are targeted, linked to assembly constituency demarcations. Get out of here and go there. So it's all now, but I think in between all of this, I also entirely agree with what she's saying, but there's another element here is that the ruthlessness of the state, we have to now understand, the center does it tries to control elections, state governments do it, and that is what Himanta will be very good at doing that. And that also means getting the getting the most influential leaders of the tribals, of the tea garden workers to be with you, and that you also have a lot of money. Let's understand one thing very bluntly. Everybody, supposing you and I are sitting in some party and fighting elections, maybe we are such good souls, which I think we are, but somebody comes and says 10 crores for you, 10 crores for you. What are you going to do? Plus there's a danger of a case landing up on you. That is the level of money we are talking about here. you know
We'll have to see how this develops. But another poll-bound state where there's some interesting development taking place is in Tamil Nadu, where Vijay, who's the TVK chief, of course, is planning his full-fledged political entry. But before that, his last movie, Jana Nayagan, has faced so many troubles from the censor board, and he's unlikely to see that last film really releasing before the elections take place.
I thought you were going to say in his lifetime. You didn't say that.
So just to tell our viewers that the Madras High Court has now set aside an earlier single judge bench order directing the CBFC to issue a UA 16 plus certificate to the film, and this means that this movie has once again been delayed. So what explains the CBFC's continued opposition to this film, which is just lying in the
forever and ever? I got a full printout of the timeline because it was
Really?
so many dates that I was quite confused. The film started in October of 2024. It went to CBFC around December. Is it December? Yeah. No, post-production ended in December last year, and then they went to CBFC and they got a certificate. They got cuts done. 27 cuts, have been told that.
Really?
27 cuts, they've agreed and they did it, and then they resubmitted, and afterwards the CBFC, there were complaints about some content, and the case has been pending. Now, the interesting thing here is who appeared on behalf of the censor board, the CBFC, in Supreme Court.
Who?
Tushar Mehta.
Oh my God.
Now, this shows the importance that the government is looking at this, giving this case. So, it is very clear that this particular movie is being used as some sort of a leverage. Now, what is the end game is not for us to speculate. Is it to force Vijay to contest alone and not to gather any allies? Or is it for him to ally with the Congress, break away from DMK? We can go on speculating. But one thing that I have been told by very anxious leaders in the India bloc is that Vijay is sort of attracting a lot of voters below the 40 years of age, a lot of women voters. Now, women have been very loyal to DMK because of the various welfare schemes that the government has brought. And in fact, in the last election, Kanimori, who's the current floor leader for DMK in Lok Sabha, she had done an extensive campaign across the Tamil Nadu, and the women voters were with DMK. Now, if that chunk of voters, if he manages to take, and again in any assembly election, the margins are narrow, and that could hurt DMK. So, in fact, both sides are quite anxious, but I would say the India bloc is a little more anxious than the NDA in case of Vijay.
So in this scenario, I was seeing Vijay has said that if these are pressure tactics, then he will not be falling prey to these. They can try what they want, but I'm not going to fall prey to this. So in this scenario, he's facing the CBI questioning in the Karur Stampede case on one hand. His film is delayed. He has, in such a scenario, there is a certain amount of sympathy from his fans at least that he's getting. So are both the NDA and the DMK enjoying this delay and seeing what is going to happen?
No, I'm not sure if the India bloc would enjoy the deal. It's obviously the game of the BJP and the NDA right now. It's very much theirs because, like I said, they don't need to put 10 crores over there. You've got him by his film, which is worth so much, and you've got you've got a CBI inquiry going against him. It's literally about, look, ideologically, what is the next election that comes up? You have the BJP, there are two regimes which have stubbornly not fallen. and they're ideologically important. Mamta is because of the presence of Bengal, where this whole where you keep on yelling Bangladeshi, you want to control that whole narrative, and it's a strong regional party. The whole conversation about Sanatan Dharma began because of certain words used in Tamil Nadu, and the Dravida movement intellectually is the last one they haven't defeated. They've defeated everything else. They've defeated Congress, and right now it's very likely that the Congress will come on top. That might be the only regime change we see in this election, but maybe there'll be more in the upcoming assembly elections in Kerala. So to carry on, chipping away. You don't think you're going to get it, but you carry on trying, and who knows what will happen. I mean, they did win an extraordinary, unexpected victory in Odisha, no? It's just that from what I gather, the DMK is also so grounded, cadre-wise, they're so entrenched that there are certain parties which are hard to pull out and pluck out. In Talidana, DMK had the capacity to do so, but it's divided. So, but they're literally going at it from all directions.
But is Vijay such an important political figure?
He can be. Any new elements can, because of narrow margins, that we don't know what is going to happen, and I have not been able to keep track. Is that there's many splits of the Anna DMK. One is finally gone with BJP. What does that bring? The various caste denominations. There are things are happening over there. So I don't know that. I don't have an answer. I've not been on the ground in Tamil Nadu. It's not one of the states that I can even comprehend if I go to the ground, even though I have done a cover story on Jayalalitha's election with a friend who speaks Tamil by my side. Because when you go to the field, you cannot manage there. You can manage Bengal, by the way. In Assam, you can manage, but not Tamil Nadu. Huh?
I just have 2 points here to add. One, there is an MGR and Vijay parallel. When MGR's last film was being released, he faced similar delays, and it was delayed for a very, very long time and then ended up being a blockbuster. So,
And this is after he was chief minister.
After he decided to join politics in a similar manner, after he got out of DMK.
Okay.
So his film release was also held back in a similar manner. So does this therefore increase Vijay's stature? That is a question we'll answer on the result, the day of the results. And second thing, what Sabha had earlier mentioned, that politics right now is all about money and cadre and organization. Though Vijay enjoys a huge amount of popularity, he does not have a big organization. In most of the constituencies, he does not have a candidate, and he's just plucked out people, whoever is willing and ready to stand for election. The question is, will they stay committed to Vijay if they win? Or even in the course of election, will they be swayed by, the various promises made by both sides? So Vijay, while he has this larger than life image, he also has his Achilles heel.
And you just remember what happened in Bihar, even though Tamil Nadu is the complete opposite of Bihar in terms of its levels of development. Prashant Kishore, everybody kept wondering. Zero.
First election, one can still give people a little leeway in that.
But while we're on Vijay, I just heard some interesting information from within the Congress that there's one section, and I won't take names here, but I think those who know will know. There's one section because there's a particular Congress leader who's close to Rahul Gandhi who's been desperate for a Rajya Sabha seat. And the DMK doesn't like him for various reasons. So he's been heavily lobbying that the Congress should go with Vijay. But that has been tided over by others who are very annoyed about that line. So it's completely, but one shouldn't take names like that. But I think anybody who follows Congress, he's particularly schemed and all that Vijay should be getting in because.
Well, whether Vijay will move to the right or to the Congress or stay on his own, as he is saying, we'll have to see. Thank you so much to the two of you for joining us and to our viewers for watching.